Now, as I was speaking to Ingrid, where are you, Ingrid? There you are, okay. We were in the green room and we were sharing stories about how the business are thriving in minorities and how we are trying to make that even better and bigger constantly. And what's really keeping us? Well, I think Nelly and Beverly nailed it. They said something very important. The support, the knowledge, education, and being fearless. When you have the resilience and when you know what you're about and you have the resources, nothing can stop us. Now, we're going to be hearing up close and personal from the real makers, the pioneers, and the people that really will inspire us. We have the next panel. That's the reason we see all this movement. This is what we call pre-production on TV. Okay, we're going to be having also our next segment moderator. Her name is Avis Jones de Weaver. Did I say it right, honey? Perfect. Okay, my name is a little weird. I want to make sure that I don't butcher anybody else's. And we have the business owners, Tamaria Hurd, President, Corporate 52 Marketing Group. We also have Randy Strickland Witherspoon, owner Spoonfed. Luis Pichardo, owner Bella Lounge. And we also have a community lender, Ray Waters, whom I met already. He is the president, Detroit Development Fund. O.C. Isaac, vice president of National Strategic Initiatives at BEDC. Are we ready to hear more interesting stories? Yes. Yes? Excellent. Let's give him a great round of applause. Let's continue this.
Wow, what an amazing, amazing film, right? Very inspiring. So excited to talk with you all.
Do I sit up here?
Hi.
Hi.
I don't like sitting up so high.
Do we need some help with that one?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
All right, there we go.
Yay. Now I feel better.
Wow, well, this has been just an amazing event so far, and I'm so excited to talk with these people who are on the ground doing amazing things in cities across the country. Thanks so much for joining us. So I want to start with Louise and Randy. Now, I think it would be fair to say that you probably came to a point in your businesses where you knew that you could use an infusion of capital in order to take your businesses to that next level, correct?
Sure.
Could you tell us a little bit about what it was like, how you got to that point, what you did to actually access the capital, and what that did to change the very trajectory of your business?
Sure. For me, it literally came at the moment where we started serving the area, kind of looking at the needs. So Bella Lounge is a hair salon in the Washington Heights area of New York, mainly a Dominican community. I'm Dominican myself. So, so my parents had a hair salon for about 13 years. So I always wanted to take it to the next level. But being old school, being the type that will say, no, we can't do this, we can't do that, it was very hard. So I finally had an opportunity to do it myself. And my father and I were looking in the area. We were serving and we noticed, wow, these salons look run down. They look like a typical hair salon. What can we do that's different? And when we decided to do something different, we said, well, we're gonna need capital because there's just no way we're gonna be able to do it ourselves. The level that of customer service that we wanted to do, the technology we wanted to input into it, what we wanted to really do to serve the community and to grow and have a business plan that not only grows the business itself, but grows beyond it. Mm-hmm. It really required for us to have the capital investment that would provide us with that business that we wanted.
Mm-hmm. And what has been the result of that, would you say?
It's been having a business that everybody that comes in loves. We wanted to provide a lounge feel, hence the name Bella Lounge, where a consumer can come in and just relax and feel pampered. And we have been able to grow our business exponentially every year. We've been open for 2 years. And now all our customers are very happy. We've seen even owners of other salons have come to the business and say, wow, we love the way it looks. We've actually had a really down summer, and we only had 2 down weeks.
Wow.
Every week has been the same, so we've actually been able to maintain a really good business aspect, even throughout the summer season, which is the slow season for salons.
Awesome. Yeah. And Randy, what about you?
Hi, Spoonfed NYC, New York Country, is a restaurant that I'm opening up in the next 6 weeks. It's been about a 2-year process of finding the right location, serving low country southern food. I started out as a caterer for the Broadway community because I worked backstage on Broadway shows for the last 25 years. And I was going to open up a small takeout so I can continue serving my friends and family in the Broadway community. And as word got around that I was opening up a restaurant,
Turn off my
the
mic.
need became bigger. I needed a bigger space because more people on Broadway wanted to experience a sit down, not a takeout, and they wanted a stage, and they wanted to be able to come and have a place to relax with spoon-fed, a culture that we developed through my catering and through my relationships with them that build. So that's when I realized I need more money.
Yeah.
Because the 900 square feet was not going to suffice. It was not going to build this dream that the entire community wanted to touch. So I was getting this email from a small business that I logged into, and they had a restaurant boot camp course. So I went there, and the ball started rolling. I filled out paperwork. I learned a lot of information, and I filled out paperwork saying, you know, yes, I could use more capital, not thinking that I would qualify for it. And weeks later, a member of the SPS, Jeff Hamer is his name, he called and said, so you're looking for more money, let's find you more money. And that started the ball rolling, and here I am sitting with a restaurant being built out right now in Hell's Kitchen Theater District, one of 4 Black owners in that neighborhood.
Awesome.
Totally my passion, but the vision was collectively produced naturally by everyone who touched it. And I feel like I'm running behind it, keeping up with it. And I would not have ever imagined that I would be opening a restaurant in Hell's Kitchen and being one of 4 Black men or women who own their own restaurant there. And I could not have done that. I didn't see it. It's you know, so yes, my moment was, I need more money. Yeah, I'll try out this restaurant boot camp course, and the ball just kept rolling because other folks knew more than I did, and they kept redirecting me, and it's been amazing.
Well, now we all know where to go to get something to eat after.
Real good.
That's awesome. Wonderful. So Tamara, you know, I have to sort of agree with this idea. You know, as a second-generation business owner myself, I know we all get to the point where we can think we need more money, right? Just like you. And sometimes we get to a point where we know we need even more money, right? So could you tell us a little bit about your experience with the Detroit Development Fund and how that helped you to be able to even more greatly build out your dream?
Absolutely. So I encountered the Detroit Development Fund through a business associate. And while I haven't actually acquired a loan from them, we have partnered to help their customers to kind of increase their brand identity and their marketing through promotional marketing items that Corporate 52 provides. It's been a very positive experience. Detroit Development Fund has been extremely supportive. They've helped me with, in terms of access to resources with accounting, public relations, and technical assistance capital. I say a highlight for me this year was I was awarded the Jackie Robinson Most Diverse Business Partner Award by the Detroit Tigers.
Yay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And I'm the first African American woman as well to receive the award. And it came to a surprise, and the Detroit Development Fund provided me the public relations work that I probably would have never been able to do myself. And it's just been a great partnership, and I'm very grateful for them.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And could you tell me a little bit more on the end about what you're doing with the in terms of doing? We've heard so far about what happens in specific cities in terms of infusing capital in specific cities in Detroit, in New York, and specific areas. What about opportunities to provide capital to people across the country. Could you tell us a little bit about some of the work that you're doing, more broadly speaking, to be able to make sure that people have access to capital across the country?
So, are you talking to me, right?
Oh, even on the end there, please. I'm sorry.
Sure. Well, as you said, I work with VEDC, and we're a national mission-based small business lender. We have offices through LA, Chicago, New York, now Miami. And we were blessed with the opportunity through Chase to start a $30 million small business loan fund focused on African American entrepreneurs exclusively. This loan fund rolled out about November of last year in New York, and has and about every 3 months or so had an echo event in Chicago as their official rollout, and then ultimately in LA. The goal of this fund was to rationalize the marketplace and answer the question that's been lingering out there for a while as to, is it really a demand issue in regards to getting capital to African American entrepreneurs, or is it really a situation where the right product hasn't been out in the marketplace? We launched the fund with the goal of doing about $5 million in lending at the 1-year mark, and we're now about 10 years into the program. And I'm very pleased to announce that we have closed and or funded $3.8 million in loans. We have that is spanning across around 32 to 33 entrepreneurs. We also have another approved / letters of interest sent out of about another 1.4 million already, which should be being closed within the next 30 days or so. So we're well over goal at this point. We've also partnered with a couple other organizations to take the program to another level, given the success thus far. And we have become sort of a fund of funds, a fund of other microloan intermediaries, such as the Support Center in North Carolina, and Lift Fund through Texas. And we've already closed and funded about an additional 1.5 million to those organizations to focus on the lending of 50,000 and below. I say all that to say that, again, thank you, Connie and AEO, for having us here. This work is really important, and we get up every day and we do it because of you all. We believe in your impacts within your local communities, and we believe in your ability to be the next, pillars of those communities, and taking our capital and creating jobs throughout the nation. So the last thing I would add to that is I was equally impressed, even though this wasn't the focus of the fund, that across our units, which is about over 50 to 60 entrepreneurs at this point, and just over 5 million, over about 56% of that has gone to women entrepreneurs of color, which is a good sign.
That's wonderful. And Ray, could you tell us a little bit more about what you're doing in Detroit in terms of really being able to fund inclusive entrepreneurship specifically in that specific city?
Sure. We're small potatoes compared to my friend over here, and we only focus in the city of Detroit. We're an economic development fund. Over the last 10 years, we've lent about $42 million into the Detroit market for affordable housing remodeling, abandoned buildings that we bring back as affordable rental. And then the second piece of what we do is our small business lending. Even up until the new fund that Chase has been kind enough to help us with, 70% of our small business lending we made to minority-owned companies in the city of Detroit. So thank you. It's an area that we're familiar with. And I will tell you that JP Morgan Chase and the Kellogg Foundation have had a huge effect on our ability to be able to continue and grow this lending that we do. What we have found is it's not so much access to capital, though I admit that it is. It's access to resources. So many of the companies that come to us just don't yet know how to access good training. accountants and all of that. So we put together, with the help of Chase, a really strong technical assistance group of people. Corporate 52 is one of those. We have a company called Lifeline Business Consulting that helps companies do their business plan, get their financial projections together, have a marketing plan, let us know in market research, and then teach them to sit down, or train them to sit down in front of a lender like us and tell us about their company in 10 minutes. We started the Entrepreneur of Color Fund in our first loan in November of this last year, and much like we just said, we, by the end of next week, will close 27 loans for $2.2 million. By the end of the year, we'll go over $3 million, and it's a $4.5 million fund, and based on the traction we're getting, it would not surprise me if by the middle of next year, we had $4.5 million out. And these are all to entrepreneurs of color in the city of Detroit. We took one of the courses that Lifeline had that we're training. We have a lot of single moms who come in for this training and starting businesses. And of the 27, by the way, 12 are startup businesses. The two you saw on the screen are two companies that came to us, and we're proud that they're loan customers of ours. But it really is an access. Oh, so with Lifeline, we're also trying to make inroads into the immigrant and the Spanish community in the Southwest. So we've helped them translate all of their training into Spanish. And they will now be doing all of their class training in Spanish, and so that we've already found 5 or 6 companies that are gone through the training that we think will be really good candidates for loan. The best piece of there's a lot of good pieces of this, but the way Chase structured this for us, they also structured and allowed us capital for technical assistance, which in my opinion is the biggest piece. We talked about this. Putting the money in is, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's the easiest part. It's what you do before and afterwards that really become the critical piece. How do you help a company get there? How do you surround them with people like you've talked about and mentors after they get the loan to get them to the point where you want to go? We have 2 companies we did 10 years ago. One we turned down for the first time when she came to us for a loan, both African-American women. 500,000 in sales, maybe 6. Both of them, one of them is now doing $7 million with 40 employees. The other just signed a $42 million contract with DTE.
Wow.
They were smart and they worked hard, and it's really about passion. If you don't have the passion and drive to do it, you're going to hit a roadblock and it's going to just stop you. And if you don't figure out how to get around and go over it. So the program has been really successful. All of the companies in our portfolio, none of them are bankable. Not one could get a bank loan. Not because Chase is not a good lender or not. They just don't fit. All of the banks are highly regulated. We're not so highly regulated, so we have more flexibility. But here's the process, and this is the same thing we talked about. It's a ladder. So we start a company with a contractor line of credit. They have a job specific. They can't get a line of credit for their company because they're too small, but they get a job from Quicken Loans to paint a building for $100,000. We provide a job specific line of credit to them. And once they get paid down, they move on. It's a ladder for us. They start here. Once they pay us back, they can go to a larger loan. And eventually, some of them will get to the point where they're bankable. And that's our goal. Let's try to move them up the ladder. Not a good idea to take really good customers out of your portfolio and replace them with startups, but having said that, it's working. And if it weren't for Chase and Kellogg, I could see that we could do $8 or $10 million in this fund eventually.
Wow.
It's that positive. So thank you.
That's amazing. You know, when you think about just what we're seeing in Detroit specifically and the renaissance that we're experiencing there, I think in many ways it can be sort of a straight line can basically be drawn from the investments that you're producing right now that allow people to have access to really put the motor in their dreams. And we're seeing the evidence of it here. For the business owners on the panel, sort of where do you think you would be if you didn't have access to the training and to the specific help that you needed to really be able to take that idea that you have and make it into something that's really tangible, that could really lead to intergenerational wealth, not only for you, but also a point of pride for your community?
Sure, easy for me. I would have a small storefront takeout that would seat 4 people, and not knowing that I could have had something bigger that I could have had something that could have meant more, and create 24 jobs is what I'll be able to do now, which I could not have done prior.
For me, it would just still be an idea. I work in corporate America. I do advertising for a living. So doing this was something where I always see my mom and my dad doing their business. It was something always I said, I didn't say I could do it better, but I said I could take it to the next level. And not knowing the resources that were available, I did some research afterwards, and then when I went to the SBA, they connected me to VEDC. They connected me to a whole bunch of resources that I didn't know were available for us. So that's how I was able to make this a reality. If it wasn't for that, it would still be an idea in my head.
And Tamara, what do you think the difference that having this development fund in Detroit is really meaning for you specifically and for your city?
For me, it's empowering. You know, I've gained so much experience working with DDF and just growing, and also just helping other companies that we partner with to help them grow and to see the potential that you know, they're contributing to Detroit and its growth. And it's amazing just, you know, to have the access of the resources.
That's wonderful. And OC and Ray, you know, when you think about the contribution that you're making, we talk about, we're in presidential season right now, politics. But I think it's also important to really show, this to me is an excellent example of how the private side can really make a difference that can be oftentimes be more surgical and precision when it relates to being able to provide the need that's really necessary, fill the needs that's necessary in communities. When you think about what you do from day to day, what do you think it makes, what sort of difference do you think it will make across the country as we see what you're doing and possibly are able to even expand it out even more to be able to ultimately close that racial wealth gap that we heard about in the beginning?
Yeah, well, yeah, as I said before, I think the work that we're doing is just all about rationalizing the practicality and the effectiveness of doing this work. That's targeting specifically, minority entrepreneurs, both women and men. And I think that, we were kind of one of the two, I would say, first funds, we were talking about this earlier, that actually specifically went out to market and named the fund, like in their case, entrepreneurs of color, in our case, National African American Loan Fund. We were very specific about what we were doing because we wanted to see, how effective that can be. And, I'm just pleased to be a tool that partnered with Chase in order to get this done. And I think Daryl, Janice, and the rest of the team were very gracious in taking a leap of faith with us and allowing us to do something that's really, really, really close and dear and important to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my short answer, though I never seem to give short answers, but my short answer is that we're going to focus on Detroit. That's what we do, and that's our intent. But to the extent that we can show the success of this program in Detroit, and we can show the jobs created, and we can show the growth, success begets success. Yeah. People are going to look at it. Same thing for you. If we can do this in Detroit with all of the issues that Detroit has had over the years and continue to build minority-owned businesses and grow them and create jobs, somebody else will notice. And when that happens, there are other CDFIs in the country in various locations that if they could get the capital, could do the same thing that we're trying to do.
That's
and
awesome.
That's how I view, that's our contribution, I think, more than anything besides helping Detroit, making sure it's successful.
Absolutely.
And if it is, then a lot of people will talk about it, and I think it can grow.
Absolutely, and seek to replicate it. And I think you're exactly right that, the government oftentimes, particularly in this political climate, it's hard to have race-specific programming that gets support and actually becomes legislation. The fact that you're able in the private sector to have that level of specificity, I think is critically important. We're going to open the audience up for questions at the moment. So if you have one, just raise your hand and you'll get in a microphone in just a sec. Yes.
Hi, my name is Dr. Linda Brown, and I specialize in leadership and human capital development. And one of the things that I would like to know is, as you continue to build your infrastructure, are there vacancies and voids that at the table that needs to be filled? And will that invitation extend beyond the territory of Detroit? Because I have no problems with coming and setting up a business there.
I think what we're going to find as some of the companies in our portfolio now, the Entrepreneur of Color portfolio, and we do have another one that we work with the Michigan Women's Foundation on, where 62% are to women-owned companies, small microloans through them. I think what we're going to find is as they grow, it changes. When you're running a $200,000 business, and if you get to $1 million, and for God, like if you get to $7 million. So with that change comes a need to mentor, because it's really different running a small company than moving up to $1 million. You've got HR issues, you've got leadership issues, and I think the biggest challenge as you move through, based on my experience of my own startup companies, once you get to a point where you have employees, it becomes a heck of a lot more difficult. You know, seriously, because you've got to deal with all those issues. And that's where I think the gap will come, where once they get that, moving them forward so that they know really how to do that, and or at least, not know, but help them understand the importance of how you treat the people that work for you and what you do. And I think there's the gap I see.
And you know, I can assist with that, and I'm really not using this as a
No.
platform, but honestly, because I do the profile analysis from the inside out, so you'll understand yourself first, internally, so you'll know what you need to do external, which is the part that the public sees.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's an important piece of it. Lifeline that does a lot of TA starts everybody with a passion test. There's some sort of a passion test that I've not taken it, probably should. And it really kind of shows you where your passion is. You might want to start an ice cream store, but at the end of the day, that's really not what you want to do.
Exactly.
You want to do something else.
I hope you do it.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I'll give you my card.
And I'll be happy.
We have
Thank you.
we have someone in the back. I'm sorry, we have limited time, so we want to get to as many people as possible. We have someone in the back.
Good morning. My name is D. Yvonne Rivers of Phoebe Marketing Group. You can call me Phoebe. I am a creator and producer of DC Shark Tank, and I've been working with businesses for over 25 years. And what I have found, people will come to me to start their business, and they may get the funding and financing, but sustainability. What's in your process, your foundational? Once they get that loan, how much follow through and follow up? Because I'm hearing that they're getting funding, the 3 entrepreneurs on the panel getting funding now. I want to see you still in business in 3 years, 5 years,
Me too,
10
girl.
years. Because you got to repay this loan, if nothing else. You got to repay this loan.
Absolutely.
And that's part of the process in which my whole passion and purpose in helping business owners is to make sure they can start a viable business. They've done their market research. They are bankable or non-bankable and go through a program, just as you're speaking of there, to get the funding that they need, but then to stay in business. If you're interested in talking to me, just Google Phoebe. You'll find me.
Okay. Absolutely
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yes, you may go ahead.
Hi, Deborah Nixon, former Detroit resident, and very proud of the work you did.
We'll get to both of them in the end.
Okay, question. Could you talk a little more about the role of Kellogg in what I'll call the visioning project for Detroit and for small businesses? And could someone talk about the creation or how we go about creating more minority venture capitalists?
And so if we could try to answer both questions about the longevity and this one.
So to respond to the longevity question, I mean, I think that you strike a very important point. I've always told everyone in our company that, you know, getting capital out was never really the challenge in my mind. Getting capital out and making sure that these businesses truly are in it for the long haul and can grow and create more businesses and generational wealth, et cetera. That's the whole purpose of this fund. And you know, I'd give you an example of SpoonFed. You know, we worked with SpoonFed. We closed their deal. It was a smaller loan amount, and you know, most lenders would just kind of dot the I's, cross the T's, and kind of keep it moving there. And, spoon-fed since then, through obviously anybody who knows building a restaurant or a project like that, there are always unforeseen things that come up. And, that financial support was with them. We were an advisor to him to enable him to be able to get additional support so that it can be a pillar in that community, and that we're not providing inadequate amount of capital to him and shorten his project by a couple $100,000, which could have been problematic going forward. So we do that with all of our clients, and that's a big part as a mission-based lender. That's a key component to our success. We really look at the early default rate of our portfolios very closely, and we make sure that our clients are put in the best position to succeed.
And if I can just tell in that, Phoebe, I account for every penny being spent. They want to know is it in the best interest of my restaurant? Is it in the best interest of where we're going? And I truly feel that they get my mission, and because when I said, well, this is what I have, but this is what I think the business need, there are questions and answers that we go back and forth with, and we land at what's best for the restaurant. And I totally feel that this is going to continue, that this relationship is going to continue. At least I hope it does, because I feel that they, as you were saying, Beverly, they are the smartest ones in the room right now. It's my first time doing this. So I hope that they continue to advise me and to be a strong supporter of Spoonfed, because we're not done.
And to add to that, I've been in business for 2 years now, and till this day, they still call me up, they still email me. Monica Guevara, which is the person, my main contact in VEDC, we still talk on the phone on at least every 2 months. She's come to the shop at least 3 times, so they do keep in contact with us, and it's really nice to be able to work with an organization. Yeah, it's a real relationship where they actually care about what's going on. She literally calls me like, hey, how's it going? What are your troubles? How can we help? And she's provided, even this week, she provided me with yet another resource for myself. So it's been a great experience.
And I think it's what I said earlier in answer to your question. It's what you do after the loan that becomes the most important piece for us, because we don't want to put money into a company that lasts a year and goes away. We prefer not to do that. It'll happen sometimes, but it's that afterwork that we talk about, and we do very similar things with our customers, contact, and we're bringing all of the EOC loan customers together in November. There will be 35 probably by then, or 30, to an event, so they get to know each other, because they don't know each other right now, and they can start working with each other and buying from each other. So that's going to be really good. Short answer to your question, here we go again, short answer, about Kellogg. Kellogg did a 3-year research on funding for minority-owned companies across the country. Michael Barr at the U of M did the majority of that. It's a 50-page document. It's really very interesting and says exactly what we've been saying. It's the access to resources. How do you access them? And the networks. Because sometimes the networks and the people that you connect companies with become as important as the money. Mm-hmm. So Kellogg did that for a specific reason. They're very focused in on family wealth. And their concept, and we've seen it year in, year in at Detroit Development Fund. If you can get a small business owner to take his company or her company from 100 to 500,000, what's that do for the wealth of the family? It helps the kids. It helps the wealth building of family. And that's one of their main interests in this, to how do you track it back to the wealth of the family. And the other thing it does, we've seen this, it's incredible to watch. We have 5 single moms who started businesses that we've funded. It's amazing to watch their kids. And what their kids are starting to think, and what their kids are starting to do. And they're thinking about, well, look at mom or dad. If they can do this, I can do it. And I think that's what Kellogg is kind of, this is not a short-term project, a few years down the road, but we see it. And we talk to those kids sometimes, and I'm absolutely amazed. They love what their folks are doing, and it has an effect. Yes. Teeny, but it has an effect.
Well, I know that we would probably have a million questions that we'd love to ask you, but unfortunately we're running short of time. So just please join me in thanking this amazing panel that we had this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Put this down. You don't need to see that.
Everybody look right here for me.
Okay.
Hashtag is access to capital.
All right, everybody
inspiring? I was thinking, being on the TV business for such a long time, you get the packages, you get the stories, you get the why, how, when, even where. But when you have the information right in front of you, you have access to it, and you don't just see what's going on, you see how to make it happen. And then you get an extra question, and then you get all the information that you need in order to be successful. Now, I want to thank everyone that was making today possible as well. We have one more introduction to make, because AEO is proud to be partnerships with two extraordinary organizations that focus pretty much on the leadership of women, and we've seen this with Nellie and Beverly. Please help me join welcoming with a great round of applause a Michelle McNeil Emery from the National Coalition of Black Women, and Bia Stotzer from New Economics for Women for a few remarks. Did I say the right name? Bia?
My name's Monica, but I'm
Excellent. Okay, Monica, thank you for being here.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, I'd like to thank all of you all for spending time here with us today. I am inspired, I am empowered, and I'm about to go back and pass in my resignation. Because I know there's some great ideas that I've had of my very own that I need to go see Chase. And I need to go get the cards of my two new best friends, who I'm going to surround myself with, along with Connie Evans, okay, who is a wonderful partner. And we thank you, thank you, thank you. This is where the rubber meets the road for women of color. It certainly is. Owning our own businesses, because without that, things will stay the same. And so we are inspired here today, but really grateful for your presence, and hope that all of you all will take the message back home that Jesse had it wrong. We don't have to keep hope alive. Hope is alive. And so we're going to prove it. Thank you so very much.
So first, I'm really proud to be here on behalf of Bea Stotzer, who is the founder and board officer for New Economics for Women. And for many of you who don't know, Bea runs an organization focused on the economic mobility of low-wealth immigrant women. But beyond that, she has been a mentor to so many women across the country, including Nellie here. And she's been a really amazing force in Los Angeles in really trying to provide access to capital and credit for the Latino community to really move into the direction of entrepreneurship. I think we learned some really great things here, especially from the great advice that we got about the importance of supporting each other and mentorship and networks. And I think this event here is a great testament to the public and private partnerships and collaboration. And I think we should all commend the great work that's being done, especially by Janice in leading this for JP Morgan Chase, standing over here behind the scenes, but clearly a woman behind the scenes moving forward such an important agenda. So I think that, you know, we've had a really great session here, and congratulations to all of you who continue to remain committed to your passion and the work that you're doing, and want you to think about the fact that small business is the backbone of this economy, and you all contribute so much to creating jobs for people who may not have jobs available to them. So I just want to remind you that it goes beyond the work that you're doing as business owners and as leaders. What you really contribute to your local economy is really important for so many people and families. So thank you for everything that you're doing here today.
We want to thank JP Morgan also for being the sponsor today. Thank you so much. Mr. Clooney, did I say it right? 77,000 people, potential business, are watching and enjoy today's presentation. Thank you all for being part of it. Now I'd like to welcome all the panelists to be here so that we can take a picture all together. And remember, thank you. You can make things happen just for being here today. Appreciate it. Thank you, Connie. Picture time.